We're going to go ahead and attach the board to the building table. I still have it loose. And as you can see, I've got a bit of an issue. Had shoulder surgery a couple days ago, and was kind of debating whether to continue with the videos or not, but you know, life happens, and this is going to happen to a lot of the builders out there. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the video. The first thing I'm going to do is I have a couple of scraps right here left over from a cabinet job that I'm going to slide underneath here. I have two of them. And again, I believe I showed earlier that the tucker tabs, as much as possible, we run them on an exact straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and just carefully slip this in. What I did is I cut these to the length of the straight tucker tabs, and I kept them just short of the tabs that move in. These I'll individually fix to the table. So for now, I'm just going to cut that, and this whole board is still dry fit. I haven't glued these joints together yet. They fit so tight that I've just pushed them together. One other thing I want to make note of is that I didn't in the last video is these, a customer actually mentioned it to me, that's building simultaneously as I'm making these videos. These top tabs, glue strips, also need to be cut to allow the spar and the rib to fully seat. So take note of that. It's real obvious when you're building it that needs to happen. Okay, so while the camera is out here, I'm going to go ahead and slip both of these in. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and line these up perfectly straight on the table, attach them to the table in the correct position so I can start attaching the tucker tabs to those pieces. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and get the camera a little closer, but what I do want to be exact is this this first strip. I'm going to go ahead and make it exactly parallel to that good edge that I started with on the beginning, so that once this is secured to the table, I can do the same and measure off this one, make sure that's exact. I'll have a little bit of a variance over on this rough edge of the table, but that's fine. So it's looking like 4.5 is going to be pretty close. And I've got the board set on the table so that my tail piece isn't hanging off too much where I'm going to walk around and snap this off. It's nice in a safe position, so I'm going to go ahead and commit to this position. I'm going to attach this to the table. I'm just going to screw it down. Not moving around too bad with only one hand. Okay, so I've got this strip attached to the table with screws. I didn't glue this down just in case I have to move it for some reason. Not sure why, but screwed it down. I'm parallel to this side edge of the table. It's nice and straight. I still haven't committed here yet because I want to make sure that these ribs are perfectly 90 degrees to the spar and everything else. I'm not going to commit here yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to the other strip, screw that to the table. And I want to make sure that I get that the right width apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure to the inside of these tucker tabs. And on this one I've got 13 and 13/16. I'm just going to go ahead and measure all of them, make sure I've got yep, that one's the same. Make sure that I've, let's go way down here. all the way to the end. Now this is something that I predetermined in my computer, so I guess at this point I'm just checking myself and my own computer work. And this is good, 13 and 13/16. So, I'm gonna go ahead, that's inside of the tucker tab to inside of the tucker tab, and I measured up high where it's attached to the ribs. In case my tucker tabs are flaring out or in a little bit, I don't wanna measure at the bottom. I measured up high several different places, and on this particular kit, 13 and 13/16 is the magic number. Thirteen, 16. So now I've got these linear sticks attached to the table. I'm going to go ahead and just hot melt my tucker tabs to this. Now remember back when I built this table, I had made a couple of lines, and I made the lines real nice and perfectly square, and I didn't know when I would use that, but I knew I would use it. Now I'm happy I did that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this tucker tab right over. You probably can't see it in the camera, but there's a line right here that's perfectly square. I'm going to glue the tucker tab right on this line. I'm in the middle of the board. I'm starting in the middle. I'm going to glue that tucker tab on over there on the exact other side, perfectly square. And then I'll come to another few of the lines that I have made on the table, attach them perfectly square, and then in between I can measure back so every single rib is perfectly straight and perfectly 90 degrees to the spar. We'll glue behind, put it on the exact same mark, perfectly flat on the table. And I've got my first rib in place, perfectly level and perfectly 90 degrees to the center spar. And I'll just keep doing this till I'm done. Close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep my hands out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Okay, so there you go. I've got the whole board secured to the table. Now, if you look right here, you can see I've got a couple of angled struts. The nose of the Calgun's pretty tall, so the tucker tabs are all on their own for a long way. What I did to make sure that the stringer is perfectly straight is I gave them a little kicker, just wherever needed, a little diagonal brace. I just used some scrap balsa wood and a hot melt glue, and I did a little of the same way back at the tail here. You can see I had a little straightening out to do there as well. But this whole frame is nice and straight and level. And with the tucker tabs, that was about 1,000 times easier than it was the last time I did this. So I'm going to put the camera down there. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to add 1/4 by 1/4 rail glue strips on both sides. This is going to continue to help secure the board in an even fashion before we cover it, and later it helps in the shaping of the rails. So let's get started.